Peace TV reporters have been active at the UN headquarters since 2010, the age of former UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon. They are often invited to gather pictures and news about high-level meetings and events at the UN headquarters. We usually report live on the scene the events of dozens of countries, including the US, France, the UK, Israel, Germany, Russia, Egypt, Kuwait, Bulgaria, Ukraine, and Morocco, and the EU at the UN headquarters and their residences in New York. Our news reports have, in part, kept the international community up to date with the work of different governments so that people everywhere will know the great efforts and contributions of the UN to world peace, international affairs, and multilateralism.
His Excellency CSABA KtomRÖSI, the President of the General Assembly, to give us some opening words. And definitely one thing that we need to know, Your Excellency, is what else would you be doing on a Saturday morning? I'm very curious. Please, the floor is yours.
Running track in the Central Park, but I have to trade it now, and I did it gladly. But with your permission, I probably I have to warn you, the informal closing will also involve some informal links. I'm here to rock the boat. So, dear friends, dear colleagues, Excellencies, I'm so happy to see this event coming along, and many, many thanks to all of you for making it to New York. I'm so happy to see this event coming along, and many, many thanks to all of you for making it to New York. As we have heard, we are at halfway point the time frame designed for the implementation of the SDGs, and we are badly off track. We are still in game, that's good news, but the game needs to change urgently. It's not only the speed, not only the ambition, but the whole game. Human activities exceeded 6 of the 9 planetary boundaries. Inequalities are on the rise. Social and financial stabilities in many countries are weakened, seriously undermined, and we are facing the most complex set of crises in the world since the World War II. What is hindering the timely implementation of SDGs? As you scientists used to think in terms of systems, let's start from where we are now. We inherited accumulated risk factors, and they are accelerating. We inherited transformative goals, that is good news. But we inherited also mostly old-fashioned policies, mostly old-fashioned market regulations, mostly old-fashioned financial incentives, mostly old-fashioned institutions, national and international alike, and, on the other hand, rapidly changing technologies and science. So we expect transformation from this combination of components. It is not surprising that transformation is happening much slower than what we wish to see. So what is needed to significantly accelerate the sustainability transformation? Let me offer you 7 points, 7 suggestions. 1, create national transformation strategies based on SDGs. Not all our countries have done so. 2, align regulations with announced goals. We know they are in many cases contradicting to each other. 3, learn how to calculate all important externalities of actions or inactions. In short term, go beyond GDP. 4. Learn how to better evaluate the impacts of our investments by reducing negative externalities across all 3 pillars of sustainability. In other words, go beyond GDP, translate it into the language of finances. 5. Identify and prioritize on game-changing elements in the SDG implementation. It's not enough to make the same a bit faster. We need to change the game, and we need to focus on the real game-changing elements. 6. Build transparent roadmap of implementation. We have 7.5 years now. That's what we need. 7. Improve science-based validation mechanism of implementation. Because for the time being, the picture what we are getting from member states is based on reports. And reports are based on various aspects, not standardized and not necessarily science-based validation. For this, we need robust scientific support that does not exist in the UN for the time being. We must also modernize our pipeline from science to policy and back. So engaging science must be a two-way traffic in the UN and in the member states. Policymakers must make it clear where they see the gravest challenges, and scientists must provide evidence-based options for solving these challenges and clear indications of the expectable impacts of action or lack of action. This approach should help us to address root causes rather than symptoms, to remove barriers that have impeded our progress, and to be proactive rather than reactive. The political decisions are and will have to be taken by politicians. Scientists cannot step into their shoes, cannot take their responsibilities. It would not work anyway. But they, scientists, can and must be part of the decision shaping with their best knowledge, data, and analysis. It applies to the implementation of all SDGs. It applies to the whole sustainability transformation that we badly need. At the UN and in the GA in particular, GA is the General Assembly, we have to broaden the general knowledge about the challenges we are attempting to tackle. Because to quote Carl Sagan, we are in very bad trouble if we don't understand the planet we are trying to save. Science, at its core, is based on reliable data. Data we desperately need to make the necessary changes. Changes to how we manage our resources, how we monitor our progress, and how we validate the implementation of the SDGs. Stephen Hawking once said, we cannot really argue with a mathematical theory. Translated to our UN speak, it means that, especially in our times of mutual mistrust, it is much easier to establish a shared knowledge base for our deliberations from irrefutable scientific facts than from diverging political opinions. In a logical world, evidence beats ideology. But we know it is not an ideal world. Still, I'm proud to say that throughout this session, we have made strides in bridging the gap between research and policy. My team has worked to ensure that politicians from around the globe recognize the relevance and benefit of science in decision shaping. We have conducted science briefings, and many thanks to you who participated, recognizing the need for a shared knowledge repository and supported member states taking initiatives to drive our efforts forward. The recent establishment of the Group of Friends of Science for Action, co-chaired by Belgium, India, and South Africa, many thanks to them, has given us momentum to enhance the role of science in decision shaping in the UN, particularly in the General Assembly. Moreover, led by Serbia, a group of countries has initiated a process to launch the Decade of Science for Sustainability, allowing us to clearly define the scientific mechanisms required for our deliberations. This is progress. The effective, innovative, and transformative knowledge we need is out there. It exists. We just need to listen to, harness it, and use it when we shape decisions. So we have the necessary tools. We still lack the shared, open, and free system to use our toolkit. But there are excellent platforms, organizations, and people working on that. Many of them in this room here today. Thank you for being here. I hope today's meeting will help us pool our resources towards the coming to make science an unavoidable component of shaping decisions on sustainability transformation. Thank you very much. Countries, regions, sex, level of development, so real-time data of how we are doing with the implementation. In the case of SDGs, our system is not really very informed. Let me also mention a missing point, and let me invite you all, please help us in the United Nations. We were discussing here the metrics of success, how to measure, but let's be quite honest. If we ask ourselves, can we measure transformation today? The honest answer, no. We have some vague ideas because we are measuring certain parts of the transformation, but we certainly don't measure the interlinkages, don't measure the side effects, and therefore we don't measure the final outcome. This metrics, this measurement methodology of measuring sustainability transformation should be created. It doesn't exist today. The Statistical Commission started. The member states are engaging, but we are still far away. In my best understanding, this measurement should have been ready by September 2023, by the SDG Summit, to make it sure that our pledge to the world that we are going to use the remaining 7.5 years will be much more credible than it was in the first 7.5 years. So it is not ready, but I hope it will be ready by September 2024. And last but not least, to the transformation what you mentioned. Let's be quite honest to ourselves. Transformation is happening. We like it or we don't like it. We make it or we don't make it. Because of climate change, because of water crises, because of wars and many others. The big question to us today, whether we would like to be masters of the transformation or victims of the transformation. And the decision is in our hands, yours and ours. Thank you very much. In my understanding, is still to be built. Therefore, my request to you would be, through the organizers, please send to the leaders by given this channel 5 of those points where you see that you could help policymakers 5 very, very simple sentences. If you wish 5 game changers that can be taken into the equation and can make the commitment to have the remaining 7.5 years more credible than the previous 7.5 years. If we can do it, you did a miracle. But you are here to make miracles. Thank you very much.